Check this one out, guys. We're down on the first floor of the New England Motorcycle Museum. I'm here with Bill Kelly, our senior tech. He's worked up the street at TSI Harley Davidson as service and general manager at the Harley dealer. And I'm also here with Billy Blythe, the professor. And we're going to tell you all about this low mileage original Fatboy. Came stock with the silver chassis and the orange accents on the engine. Bill, what can you tell us about this piece? What do you remember when the bike came out and your years working in the Harley dealership? We talked about you haven't seen many of these over the years.
No, when you asked me that question, I started thinking about it, and I can only remember one customer that had this year, this color, and yeah, they were pretty rare. I don't know what the production run was on them, but yeah, they were super rare. I started in 1996, and Fatboys were always super popular. You know, the Fatboys and Road Kings were kind of the biggest sellers, all around good bikes.
Senior seems to think that there were only a few thousand of these produced, and I believe every bit of that. We've turned over 4,000 bikes, and we've done a lot of Harleys. You very rarely see the first year 90 Harley Davidson Fatboy.
Yeah, so the frame on this bike is powder coated, and that's pretty unusual for a manufacturer to do that. That's going the extra mile for finish and longevity. Willie G himself rode a prototype of this bike in '88 and '89 to Daytona for display. You can tell how excited Harley Davidson were about this model when they first came out. They really wanted to get the word out that this bike was coming. And you know, can you imagine being at Daytona and seeing Willie G ride up on one of these things, like a prototype? Like, oh my God, can I have your autograph?
Right.
You know? Yeah, massive, cool endeavor on their part. I just rode the bike here in the museum, and I felt instantly comfortable on it. It made me want to ride it more. And you know, I've never really been a Harley enthusiast. I appreciate the models, and I own one myself, but an Italian model. This bike makes me want to own one. It just makes it feels great. It wants to be ridden. It's a happy motorcycle.
Definitely, and it runs perfectly. It's just been serviced by Lance Merton, who worked under Bill at TSI Harley Davidson. Lance held the Land World speed record on an Evolution-powered Harley Davidson Sportster, so I would say he's overqualified to do the refresh on this bike. We'll read off the work order, but we have a clear title on this bike and the recent service notes. It needs nothing. It has a brand new set of Harley Davidson tires. It's been completely refreshed, and with the weather that we've had, we didn't dare take it out on the salty roads. It's been tested exclusively in the building here and on our dyno. Lots of testing with the bike, and it's 100% ready to go. Bill, what can you tell us about it, just coming in from what you've seen?
Well, when Bill had mentioned that Willie G, you know, debuted it at Daytona, and you know, he was the chief of styling, so it does have a lot of nice style to the bike. The solid wheels, you know, the low seat height, the fat bob tanks, the big front end. It just it looks as good as it goes, and it's just a great bike. You know, it's great design, great looking. You know, it's a lot of low end torque, just easy to ride. You know, the seat height makes a difference for, you know, people that are a little shorter. You know, they can get their feet square on the ground and, you know, get your feet up on the footboards and cruise.
Kenny, how many of these do you think survived in this condition with the original parts all throughout?
I mean, basically none of them. I'm sure that some had the foresight to stuff them away in their collections, but for an original paint bike that's bone stock, right down to the intake and exhaust equipment, something that wasn't abused. The original controls are still present. The gauges are crystal clear. It was stored indoors. And then this one being freshly serviced by our staff with a really nice ticket. Very, very few and far between. And the ones that are like this are not being offered for sale because they're being hoarded by collectors because you can't find them sorted like this. Would I be right in assuming that, Bill?
Yeah, well, like with all Harleys, you know, individuals want to modify them and change everything, and you know, it's to find one that's this stock and original is extremely rare.
What do we call that here? Unobtainium?
I would say so, yeah.
Yep. Basically, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen one this stock. I know they looked like this originally, but I've never seen one in person that's completely stock like this. And I prefer them that way.
It's nice you're showing it in the museum because it is a museum piece. I mean, this looks like an ad that Harley Davidson would do right out of Milwaukee. I mean, this thing is, the bike is beautiful. It's perfect.
Yeah, so Bill, if you could read down the parts list, everything that Lance did while I was in-house. I know we have a hefty parts list. Lance has been working here part-time at the museum, so he spent the last probably 3 weeks getting acquainted with the Fatboy and making it right. So go ahead, Bill.
Okay, sure. Going from the work order, first you start out by doing a compression test, which would give us indication of the condition of the engine. So it's got 125 PSI compression. He went through, checked all the lights, electrical, replaced the battery, replaced front and rear tires, repacked the wheel bearings. In the carb, you had gone through that. Also installed a jet kit and a new breather. Let's see, replaced the throttle and idle cables. Went through, checked all the oil lines, fuel lines. Let's see, replaced the air filter, intake seals, replaced the battery with a stock new Harley battery, and checked brakes front and rear, checked the belt condition, lubed cables, just a complete check over and run. He also had run it on the dyno. As Ken was saying, the road conditions and whatnot don't allow us to ride a bike of this value out on the road. So he did run it on the dyno and said it made pretty good power. I think he said it was upwards of 70 horsepower, which is pretty good for a bike from back then. You know, they were usually in the 60 some odd horsepower. So yeah, it did make good power, ran good.
I know Lance was talking about the Yoast carb kit that he installed and how that was a good upgrade for these bike stock because they come a little bit choked up, and he said that that would at least sort air fuel issues that the bike had previously. It was a little lean through the mid-range, I believe.
Yeah, they all came through lean. You know, the carbureted bikes were pretty well choked up, and this does have a set of slip-on mufflers on it, so you know, high flow air cleaner and slip-on mufflers. You're going to want to rejet it, and the Yoast jet kit is, you know, top of the line stuff. That's you know, a very good addition to the bike and make it run the way it should run.
That's great, and all the intake seals have been sorted. It feels like every single V-twin that we've brought in, you know, we end up taking the intake off. All the intake seals go through the carburetor, air cleaner. This one's been completely sorted, and new running gear as well. The brakes are completely sorted, and it's in stock trim. It's never been down. The original paint is just beautiful. It's running non-ethanol fuel, has a new battery, and it's ready to ride or to show. Again, as stated, we have a clear open title that will be transferred through our dealership. We can ship this bike anywhere in the States inexpensively, so message your zip code for a shipping quote. Any closing remarks, guys?
I think she's a beauty, Ken. She's really a beauty. I mean, fire it up.
That's really where the magic happens, huh, Bill?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. The sound. Yeah, this is where it's at. Milwaukee's finest right here.
We'll let the bike speak for itself.
She's making that nice music.
That nice music, Bill?
The nice music. She's making pretty music. Yep.
That's it.
Good luck bidding, guys, and God bless America.